At a family reunion, I refused to pay off my cousin's gambling debt. Enraged, he stood on a chair and shouted, "You're a heartless millionaire." Relatives turned against me, calling me greedy. Calmly, I pulled out receipts and said, "This is every dollar I've lent you, and your signature promising to pay it back." I work as the general manager at a popular grocery store chain in the Midwest. It's a decent job, nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me busy. Over the years, I've dealt with all sorts of customers, the kind, the confused, the impatient, and, of course, the entitled. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, I was helping out at the customer service desk. We were short-staffed, and I believe in leading by example. The line was long, and people were waiting patiently. That's when she walked in. She was in her mid-40s, dressed in designer clothes, and had that look, the one that screams, "I'm better than you." She strutted to the front of the line, bypassing everyone else, and slammed her items on the counter. "Excuse me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "There's a line, ma'am." She looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. "I have more important things to do than these people," she snapped, gesturing to the line behind her. The murmurs started immediately. People were shocked, but no one said anything. I took a deep breath. "Ma'am, everyone here is waiting their turn. Please go to the back of the line." Her face turned red. "This is horrible customer service," she yelled. "I want to speak to the manager." I smiled. "Funny, since I am the manager, and we don't reward entitlement here." She stared at me, speechless. The line behind her erupted into applause. She grabbed her items and stormed out, leaving her groceries behind. The incident became the talk of the town. Regular customers came up to me, sharing their own stories of dealing with entitled people. Some even brought me coffee as a thank you. A week later, I received a letter from our corporate office. Apparently, the woman had filed a complaint against me. I was nervous, but when I opened the letter, I found a commendation instead. Corporate had reviewed the security footage and praised me for handling the situation professionally. That day taught me something important. Standing up for what's right isn't always easy, but it's necessary. Entitlement has no place in our store, and as long as I'm the manager, everyone will be treated with respect. A few days after that scene at the front counter, things started to feel off. It began with small stuff. A few regulars told me someone had been standing outside the store, talking trash about me, claiming I was rude, saying I humiliated a helpless customer for no reason. At first, I brushed it off, thought maybe it was just her venting. But then it escalated. Our store's online reviews started tanking. Fast. 1-star ratings popped up overnight, all strangely worded the same way. Manager is rude. Discriminates against busy women. Refused service to a paying customer. Dozens of them, all within the same 48-hour window. Clearly fake. I flagged them, reported them. But they were already out there. The district supervisor called me. Not angry, but definitely concerned. "I trust your judgment," he said. "But corporate's watching. This kind of online reputation storm isn't good for the brand." I explained everything. Sent the security footage. He backed me up, at least for now. Then the phone calls started. Multiple times a day, someone would call the store asking for me. Sometimes they'd hang up the moment I picked up. Other times they'd leave messages with my cashiers. "Tell the manager karma's coming." One person whispered into the phone, "Hope you like lawsuits." I still wasn't too worried. Just thought she was blowing steam. Rich people tend to make noise when they don't get their way. But then something happened that stopped me cold. I walked out to the parking lot after closing and found my car keyed. Bad. Deep, ragged lines all over the driver's side. A note was stuck under the wiper blade. "Not so funny now, is it?" I stood there, just staring at it. Cold wind blowing, rain just starting to fall again. I didn't even feel angry. I felt sick. This wasn't just a tantrum anymore. This was targeted. I went to the police, filed a report, gave them the note, and the security camera footage from our parking lot. The detective said they'd look into it. Said they'd call me. Never did. The next day, I had someone shadowing me in the store. Tall guy, dark hoodie, stood near where I was working all day. Didn't shop, didn't speak. Just lingered. Left when I took my lunch break. Came back when I returned. I alerted our front desk. Told one of the floor staff to keep an eye on him. Later, he left without buying anything. I reviewed the security footage that night. Zoomed in. The guy had been filming me. Holding his phone down low, camera facing up. In multiple angles. I gave that to the cops too. They said without a clear face, they couldn't do much. I was tired, mentally and physically. I started parking in the back. Took different routes to and from work. I even checked my mail before opening it. I wasn't scared exactly, but I was watching everything. Waiting. A week passed. I started thinking maybe it was over. Until corporate HR called me. Said a complaint had come in. Not about customer service, but about me threatening a guest, targeting her in front of other customers, and creating a hostile environment. I nearly laughed. Thought it was a joke. It wasn't. They said they had to open a formal investigation. It was her. Again. She found some way to spin the story. Claimed I humiliated her publicly and implied she feared for her safety. I knew it wasn't true. My staff backed me up. The footage backed me up. But HR doesn't play favorites. Policy is policy. I was put on temporary leave while they reviewed the complaint. They gave me a week off. Unpaid. I sat at home, pacing. Watching the same 3 hours of security footage over and over. Making notes. Timestamps. Statements. Anything that would help prove I didn't do anything wrong. And then I had a thought. What if she wasn't acting alone? What if someone inside the store was helping her? I started thinking about one of my newer hires. Cheryl. Quiet girl. Hired just a month before the incident. Always on her phone. Always seemed to disappear right before weird things happened. I pulled her clock in times. Compared them to the timeline of events. Something didn't add up. And then I remembered she was working the day my car got keyed. She took her break right around the time it happened. I asked HR if she'd ever worked at one of our other stores before. They said no. In fact, her references weren't from our system at all. Looked like she was a referral. From who? My assistant manager, Greg. I called him that night. Asked casually if he knew Cheryl from before. There was a pause. A little, he said. We had mutual friends. I pressed. He got defensive. I didn't do anything wrong, man. She just needed a job. I didn't say anything else. Just hung up. But now I had a new theory. Something deeper was going on. And I was going to find out exactly what. I didn't sleep much after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that scratched-up car, that note, Greg's hesitation on the phone. I didn't want to believe it, but the way things were falling into place, I couldn't ignore it. So I did some digging. I remembered Cheryl once mentioned a local college she used to go to. I checked their online student directory, old versions through the Internet Archive. Her name showed up in a couple clubs. Guess who else was in the same group? That's right, Greg. Same class year. Same department. So I kept digging. I ran a background check through one of those sketchy people search sites. What I found knocked the air out of me. Cheryl's last job? A boutique downtown. Fired after 3 months. Reason? Customer misconduct. There wasn't a lot of detail, but the phrase stood out. That wasn't the worst part. The store owner listed in the report was the same woman who tried to cut the line at my store. Same name. Same last name as the woman writing fake reviews and filing complaints. I put it together. Cheryl was her niece. This wasn't random. This was planned. I took everything, screenshots, notes, timestamps, and brought it to the district supervisor. I expected him to react like anyone would seeing this mountain of proof. But he didn't. He looked tired. Resigned. There's more going on here than you know, he said. That's when he told me something that changed everything. 6 months ago, that same woman had filed similar complaints at another location in our chain against a different manager. That manager got demoted. No proof, no evidence. Just enough noise to make corporate fold. And Greg? He'd worked at that store too. Quietly transferred right after it all went down. Now I was seeing the full picture. They were running a playbook. Weaponizing complaints. Making chaos. And Greg was in on it. I asked the supervisor why no one had said anything before. He sighed. Because corporate doesn't like lawsuits. They'll eat a few good managers before they stand up to someone loud enough. And she's loud. I asked him what he'd do if it were him. He said, cover your ass. Get everything in writing. And don't trust anyone. So I started recording. Everything. Every conversation. Every weird shift Cheryl took. Every time Greg whispered something to her. I documented all of it. Even had a friend from IT help me install a hidden camera behind the service desk. Just in case. And then something unexpected happened. Greg got promoted. Not by us. Corporate fast-tracked him to another store in Ohio. Just like that. No warning. No goodbyes. Gone. I was suspicious. But it also meant Cheryl was on her own now. That week, HR called again. Said they'd finished reviewing the complaint. I was clear. No fault found. I could come back to work immediately. But something about the timing bugged me. Why did they clear me the moment Greg left? And why did they offer me a transfer to another location, 3 hours away? A fresh start, they called it. I said no. Politely. I wanted to see how deep this hole went. And then I noticed it. Cheryl had started taking pictures at work. Not casually. She was snapping shots of other employees, pretending to be on her phone. I caught her pointing her camera at a customer, yelling at the register. Then later, she uploaded a cropped version to Yelp, making it seem like our cashier was the one screaming. She was trying to build something. So I beat her to it. I compiled a full report and sent it to legal at corporate. Not HR, legal. I included the video of her staging the photo, the background check, the connection to the previous incident, even her Facebook posts that hinted she was going to enjoy watching someone fall. Then I waited. 3 days later, corporate sent a team to the store. Not HR reps, not PR people. Actual lawyers. They asked to meet with me privately. They wanted to know everything. I gave it all. And as I sat across from them, explaining piece by piece how I'd been played, I watched their expressions change. One lawyer leaned forward. Why didn't you just quit? She asked. I answered, because I don't believe people like that should win. They thanked me. Said they'd handle the rest. That was a week ago. Today, Cheryl didn't show up to work. And neither did the woman. But I don't think it's over yet. Someone sent me flowers to the store today. No card. Just a bouquet of black roses. I stood there staring at the black roses for a while. The petals were dark, velvety, and almost too perfect. A message meant to scare me, I guess. But I'd come too far to be rattled by flowers. That same afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. The message? A woman's voice. You're going to regret pushing this. That was it. No name, no context. But I didn't need context. I knew it was her. I took the voicemail to the lawyers. They were already deep in the mess, trying to figure out how someone like her kept pulling this crap off without legal blowback. I learned something from them. Turns out, she wasn't just a loud customer. She was a serial fraudster. Fake lawsuits. Insurance scams. Threats. She never made it big enough to get real jail time, but she'd cost several companies thousands in settlements. Always backed off before anyone dragged her to court. Her trick? Filed just enough complaints to get hush money. Filed just enough lawsuits to make people scared. But now? With video. With voice. With witnesses. She slipped. 2 days after I gave them the voicemail, legal contacted me again. Said they were turning it over to law enforcement. Not just for her, but also for Greg and Cheryl. I wasn't surprised when Cheryl was fired. They made it quiet, tried to save face, but she was gone by the next morning. No warnings. No goodbye. Just wiped from the schedule like she never existed. Greg was next. I heard from another manager that he got pulled from his new store by security. Mid-shift. Didn't even get to clock out. As for the woman, things got serious fast. She was arrested for harassment, filing false claims, and stalking. They added it all up. Complaints against me, against others, even vandalism of private property. Guess what finally sealed the deal? The note she left on my car. Forensics matched the handwriting to another threatening note sent to a business owner she'd targeted last year. Turns out she'd been doing this for years. Different states. Different names. All part of the same game. But here's the part that still haunts me. While all this was happening, I kept thinking about what the lawyer asked me. Why didn't you just quit? And the truth is, part of me didn't want to be seen as weak. I wanted to be the guy who stood his ground. Who exposed the liars. Who proved a point. But that same stubbornness made me miss signs that hurt other people. One of my part-time cashiers, Anna, told me she'd been cornered in the parking lot 2 weeks before my car was keyed. A man asked her weird questions about me. She didn't tell me because she was scared of losing her job if she got involved in drama. I failed to create a space where she felt safe to speak up. Another employee, Marcus, had raised questions about Cheryl early on. Said she gave him creepy vibes. I brushed it off. Said we couldn't judge people on feelings. But he was right. And I ignored him. So yeah, I got played. But I also let my pride blind me. Corporate kept me on. They even gave me a promotion offer to take over regional operations. But I turned it down. Told them I needed time. I'm still working, but less. Fewer hours. Fewer people. I manage a small local branch now. Quiet. No drama. I see Anna and Marcus sometimes. They're both doing well. I make sure to listen more now. Really listen. As for her, the woman who started it all last I heard, she's out on bail. But facing trial soon. And this time, there's real heat. Because she didn't just mess with a store manager. She left a trail. And now that trail has finally caught fire. Greg tried to lie his way out of it. Claimed he didn't know what she was doing. But emails proved otherwise. He'd sent Cheryl messages warning her to be subtle and don't get caught. Screenshots don't lie. He's blacklisted now. No store wants him. Cheryl? She vanished. Deleted her social media. Disappeared from every site. No one knows where she went. Me? I go to work. I clock in. I help people. I still get the occasional entitled customer. But now I see through the noise. And when they yell, when they demand, when they try to intimidate, I just smile. And remember that some people, when you tell them no, don't just throw a fit. Some burn everything around them. But if you're ready for it, if you're calm, careful, and maybe just a little bit vengeful, you can hand them the match and let them light their own fire.